Sometimes you find a discovery in a game that makes you think, what the? You seeing this? Whoa! It'd be nice to play something a little less cursed for once. Fortunately, there's the upcoming Game of Thrones King's Road, the official Game of Thrones action-adventure RPG developed for both PC and mobile. Game of Thrones King's Road allows players to explore the beauty and danger of Westeros, as every decision shapes your journey, with rich customization and character growth alongside thrilling strategic combat. I'm personally excited to try it, as the combat and exploration look incredibly high quality, and aim to match the quality known in the Game of Thrones TV series and books. Fortunately, you can join me on Steam to try it out when the game is available in early access March 26. Pre-register today using the link down below and experience Game of Thrones King's Road before it officially releases later this year. Until Dawn. Thanks to Mandan9 for submitting this discovery through the Oddheader Reddit. Until Dawn is a 2015 interactive drama originally released for PS4, with a Windows and PS5 remake released in late 2024, which follows 8 characters who are mysteriously killed off as they wait for a rescue crew, who won't arrive until dawn. Oh, that's why it's called Until Dawn. Throughout the game, the characters encounter a number of strange and cursed discoveries while on Blackwood Mountain. However, Wildcat002 discovered some things while hacking the remake that seemed more cursed than anything the characters find in the game. As during the final scene, Wildcat discovered that while the cabin's on fire, if you were to use a free camera hack, which has been recreated here by my friend and collaborator Slippy Slides, you can find this strange, horrifying creature floating out of bounds. Strangely, this model doesn't seem to show up anywhere during the actual story, although it appears to be made to resemble the traditional appearance of a Wendigo, a creature from Algonquin folklore that does appear in Until Dawn, but doesn't look anything like this in the final game. However, the mystery doesn't end here, as Wildcat002 managed to find something that, if you can believe, might be even more cursed. As Wildcat found in the credits scene, if you free cam under this desk, you can find a disembodied odd head. Slippy Slides investigated further and found underneath the floor there's a chain attached to the disembodied head, which makes no sense at all. And attached to the chain is a mass of dead bodies floating out of bounds under the environment, which I think might be all of the main characters' bodies. But why they're sitting out of bounds hanging from a chain attached to a disembodied head also makes no sense whatsoever. Additionally, Slippy Slides found on the other side of the wall here, there's a mysterious man in a tactical suit A-posing outside the door. No idea why this dude is creepily hanging out in the margins of this room. Only thing I know for sure is I'll be staying up until dawn thinking about this one. Silent Hill 4, The Room. Thanks to SeaChameleon for submitting this mystery through Oddheader.com. Silent Hill 4, The Room is the 4th installment in the horrifying Silent Hill series, which has a number of strange, unsolved mysteries we've covered before, such as strange objects in the game's files and evidence of a missing UFO ending. More evidence has emerged that there may be even more unnerving discoveries to be found in Silent Hill 4. As in 2024, Silent Hill YouTuber Rodolfo Nunez was diving through the texture files of the enemies in the game when they came across something odd in the file called enemycell.bin. Interestingly, in enemycell.bin are texture files belonging to this tiny amoeba looking thing, which swims around on the walls and floors of the water prison environment, which are completely harmless. Opening the texture file, there are multiple images making up the animation of the cell, but at the bottom of the texture was a row of images that looked rather odd. Once Rodolfo resized the image, it appeared to be a humanoid body of some sort. It's completely unknown why this creature is hidden in this file of this amoeba, and what purpose it serves to the game, if any. Of all the places to find such a horrific discovery in Silent Hill 4, I certainly never expected anyone to find a naked man hiding in the files of this amoeba floating around in the background. Please don't tell me there's a hidden state where this amoeba evolves into this thing. Counter-Strike 2. Thanks to Maxwell Pants 7 for submitting this discovery through Oddheader.com. Counter-Strike 2 released in 2023 for Windows is the long-awaited next entry in the tactical first-person shooter series from Valve. CS2 updated and replaced Global Offensive, the last online shooter in the series, most notably with improved graphics and maps and moving to a newer version of the source engine. And in updating Counter-Strike, Valve apparently forgot to remove some discoveries in the files of the game that maybe weren't ever meant to be found. As in March of 2024, 6 months after CS2 released, Maxwell Pants found some mysterious unused audio in the data of the game. The audio, called D Inferno Children in the files, indicates that it would have been used on the map Inferno. Playing the audio, we hear what sounds like a bunch of high-pitched children's laughter. What? Even stranger, these children have been haunting this map for quite some time, as players also found it on the same map in the previous game CSGO all the way back in October 2016, after Valve issued some updates to the map, including minor changes to the environment and improved visibility. Though I'm not sure how demonic children's laughter is an improvement. Some fans think the laughter could have been intended for Counter-Strike's Halloween events that year, but that Halloween update mostly involved the game's chickens running around with pumpkins on their head, not evil children's laughter. Valve seemingly caught the cursed children, as Maxwell Pants contacted me again in July 2024, just a few months after they found the audio in CS2, to say they could no longer find the file in the game. Looking at the game's update history, the removal of this audio isn't noted, making it seem like Valve really doesn't want players knowing about these kids. If that's the case though, why did this creepy laughter stay in the game for 8 years, even after the release of a new game? Let's hope Valve didn't remove it, because they have no idea how it got there either. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Thanks to Reverie for submitting this mystery on the Oddheader Discord. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 released in 1992 for the Sega Genesis, shaping the iconic series by introducing Sonic's spin dash mechanic, as well as his sidekick Tails. However, it seems that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was originally going to introduce something rather cursed as well. The nightmare began in 2019, when the owner of a retro game store met Tom Payne at his garage sale, who turned out to be an artist who worked on Sonic 2. Tom gave him a box full of his old things from working at Sega. In the box were some early drawings of characters and level designs, as well as some floppy disks that contained game assets from early prototypes. With the help of the Video Game History Foundation, dumping the files on the disks revealed early concept art and sprites for Sonic 2, as well as 2 other unreleased games, though it appears some parts of video game history may be better left unseen. As one of the images on the disc is this dude, who's apparently named Bob according to the file names. Looking at the image, we can see that Bob has a gunshot wound on his chest, and has a rather unnerving, creepy smile that will likely burn itself into your memory for eternity. And if this image isn't terrifying enough, Bob was apparently supposed to smile and wink at you when animated. Also on the disc is an image of what appears to be a level, where close-up images of Bob's face make up the walls, which seems like it would have been the most terrifying level in all of gaming if it actually made it into the game. It's unclear who Bob is, as he clearly doesn't appear in the final game, and no one from Sega has ever given an official explanation. No wonder the developer tried to keep these discs hidden in his garage all those years. Mr. Mine. Thanks to Jack for submitting this discovery through Oddheader.com. Mr. Mine is an idle mining game from indie developer PlaySaurus, originally released as a browser game in 2012, then remastered and released on Steam and mobile. It's a pretty addicting game, set to a soundtrack with an eerie feel, where the player digs their mine to uncover resources like diamonds and other minerals. As you dig deeper, you can upgrade your tools and workers, discovering more materials and secrets the deeper you go into the mine. The player completes a quest for making new discoveries, such as finding treasure chests or the golem in the cave. However, there seems to be something more dark and sinister buried in this mine, as by upgrading the mine manager to level 3, the player completes a quest called Triple Judgment. The quest description reads, upgrade manager to level 3. Please help, I'm working for PlaySaurus without food or sleep for several days. That definitely doesn't seem like it was meant to be in the game. Hopefully this is just a joke from a developer that accidentally slipped into the game, but not an actual call for help. Otherwise, it sounds like PlaySaurus might have the worst office crunch culture ever. What kind of office is PlaySaurus running over there? Fable. Fable released in 2004 for Xbox and was one of the most hyped RPGs of all time, perhaps because the game's designer Peter Molyneux is well known for teasing ambitious features that never actually appear in his games. During the 4 years Fable was in development, Molyneux teased many things that, as you can guess, didn't make it into Fable, such as the game following the player as they age in real time, NPCs stealing quests from the player, or watching a tree grow in real time from a single acorn. However, data miners found some leftovers from some cut content that appears to be particularly cursed, as in the files of the game, there's an unused model of a dog, which wouldn't have had a very happy fate, according to some interviews Molyneux gave IGN before the game's release. Back in 2002, he stated that in the beginning of the game, the player character would have come home to find their family kidnapped and their dog nailed to the door. While the official game does begin with a raid, and some of the player's family being kidnapped, the dog part was likely scrapped because that was taking things too far. Of all Molyneux's empty promises, I'm glad this is what one he didn't keep. And that seemingly wasn't the end of Molyneux's ideas that maybe took things too far, as he also stated that in Fable 2 there was going to be a sex minigame, but as you can probably guess, they cut the feature. No idea what that minigame would have looked like, as normally during romantic encounters in a game, the screen just fades to black while audio plays. Given what happened with the ESRB and uproar over the sex minigame that was found in the files of GTA San Andreas that ended up getting the game pulled from shelves, I think it probably worked out that this Molyneux idea didn't actually make it into the game. Like a lot of his ideas. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Thanks to ThePlagueDoctor for submitting this mystery on the Oddheader Discord. Black Flag released in 2013 and is generally considered one of the best in the series by Assassin's Creed fans. It's a pretty fun pirate adventure where you can explore the open world, steering your own ship, attacking and capturing other ships and forts, exploring cities across the Caribbean, and even diving underwater to explore shipwrecks and sea caves. Previously, I covered the game for a chair that seemed to have a life of its own. However, it appears the chair may not be the only haunted object in the game, as ThePlagueDoctor was exploring one of the smugglers' diving caves when they activated Eagle Vision, which highlights nearby enemies, and saw a strange figure inside a crate. The figure appeared to be merged with the crate, though what it was doing there is unknown, as they couldn't interact with it or kill it. What in the 7 seas is this? ThePlagueDoctor noticed the dude appeared to have a hood, which seemed to indicate that it was an enemy assassin, but also that they had a pistol at their hip, which none of the other enemies appear to have. Unfortunately, we may never find out what strange entity was inside the crate, as the figure was gone when ThePlagueDoctor left and returned to the location later. Well, that's 2 more strange objects in this game than I ever needed to see. Maybe a pirate's life is not for me. People Playground. Thanks to Panman, Bobby the Bob, and Lunar Low 13 Gold Source Gaming for submitting these mysteries on the Oddheader website and Discord. If there was ever a word to describe People Playground, Curse definitely fits the bill. No one seems to know what the purpose of this game is, though it's believed you're in an alien torture chamber experimenting on humanoid ragdoll characters however you please, with the wide variety of weapons and explosives available, and even looking into the files of the game manages to be just as cursed. Panman on my Discord server was looking through the data of the game when they found some strange audio which doesn't appear to belong anywhere in People Playground. One of these audio files is someone simply saying,
"What the f is this menu?
What the f is this audio file?" Panman also found these ambient noises simply titled, "You should not be here," which I think is probably accurate. Turns out the audio plays on what appears to be a secret unfinished map that Bobby the Bob and Lunar Low managed to find, as by going into the data and renaming the files from level 0 to level 4, and then level 2 into level 0, and then booting up the game, they were suddenly met with this message: "What are you doing? You're not supposed to be here. This place isn't ready yet." Entering the map, you can see what looks like one of the game's normal rooms exists inside some sort of vaporwave hell, where you can see a strange image endlessly repeating across the background. And zooming out, we can see a smiley face, which this game manages to make feel creepy. Perhaps this map is supposed to happen when the aliens decide to branch out to new methods of torture and see if their test subjects go insane when they drop them into a strange endless void. And if that's the case, I think it might be working. And thanks again to Game of Thrones King's Road for sponsoring this video. Game of Thrones King's Road is the hyped upcoming action-adventure RPG that allows players to explore Westeros in ways that they've never before, with an all-new original story that traverses the 7 kingdoms featuring vibrant cities like King's Landing or the untamed landscapes beyond the Wall. There's also a dynamic combat system featuring 3 classes, Knight, Sellsword, and Assassin, each with their own unique actions, weapons, and skills, allowing you to play your way, or team up in multiplayer in battles against ice spiders, stormhorn unicorns, ironbeak griffins, or red cockatrice. Available on both PC and mobile with seamless crossplay and progression, this free-to-play game provides a fair, no-pay-to-win element experience across both platforms, offering unique cosmetic content in the store. I'm personally excited to see how Game of Thrones King's Road expands the Game of Thrones universe. Pre-register today using the link down below and experience Game of Thrones King's Road before it officially releases later this year. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and if you know of any other discoveries that you think I may have missed, submit through oddheader.com, come join the Discord, or even send me a shout through Twitter or Reddit. And thanks again to Slippy Slides for helping get the footage in this video. Feel free to subscribe to him down below as well. Shout out to Aaron Johnston, Angel the Fox, Ash Photography, BitWiff27, Black EV50, Chad Biscuits, Eddie Talkspin, The Bleach Primate, Flex, Jailbreak, Isaac Murillo, Kieran Bolton, Nat XD, Nova Vega, The Meatly, Phoenix157, Rackman22, Riley S, Robert Eisenman, Select, Suvrock, and Terrence Stock for their Patreon support. Stay tuned.